66 games that they've played.
Made shots, man, so big shout out to those guys.
20 years ago to the date, the Minnesota Timberwolves yielded their first Game 7 win in franchise history. And you fast forward to last night where they achieved the biggest comeback in Game 7 history, down by as many as 20 points on the road in Ball Arena versus the defending champion Denver Nuggets. There's a lot to take away from this game regarding either team, from both gameplay to appearances on and off the court verbally. So today we're going to discuss all of that and more. I just want to say before we get into this video, guys, thanks so much for 2,500 subscribers. If you're new here, please be sure to consider hitting that subscribe button, as we are on the road to 3,000 subscribers and we are uploading nearly daily for the NBA playoffs. Without further ado, let's just briefly talk about Denver in this one before we get into the greatness that is Minnesota. This series kind of showed what it means to be an NBA team that cuts cost after victories in the postseason. All year and postseason, we spoke about the Denver Nuggets bench and what it would look like with the losses of Bruce Brown and Jeff Green. In Game 6 and 7, it really sort of encapsulated, if you will, what these guys meant to that team. Reggie Jackson, Peyton Watson, DeAndre Jordan, Justin Holiday, all these guys were scoreless in Game 6 and 7 and just forced Nikola Jokic to play every single minute except for one. It's very rare that we see Mike Malone have a stint of poor coaching or a stretch of poor coaching. I guess that's how I would describe this Game 7. But when you're up 20 points in this game and you're clearly starting to go on these runs and your starters are starting to experience some fatigue, I think it's only right that Jokic would have sat for 6 or 7 minutes during that run and maybe try to get DJ and Reggie some play and just see if they can get anything going, because they do have great chemistry at the end of the day. And since this didn't occur at the end of the game, we saw a lot of lazy, and rightfully so, lazy moments from Jamal and Jokic. I speak a lot on this channel with how impressed I am with the shape that Nikola Jokic is in, and tonight at the end of the game, it was just very obvious that the series was starting to drain on him. We started seeing him and a lot of other Denver Nuggets miss box outs, and that's why we see Naz Reid and Karl Anthony Towns get these crazy putback dunks. Mike Conley at one point was leading the Wolves in rebounds. I mean, this is stuff that can't happen in Game 7. The only man off the bench who was great throughout this whole series was Christian Brown. Outside of that, they just sort of looked like a lost cause, and it doesn't help when in a Game 7, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., KCP, all of them sort of disappear in that moment, which is, again, very uncommon. MPJ was borderline virtually unplayable in the series, which is very hard for me to say because I do enjoy his game a lot. I just think his body was not built for the series. He's too skinny to deal with Jaden McDaniels, Cat, or Rudy Gobert, and there's just a lot of possessions where we're seeing Jamal Murray guarding Cat, and because if you put Mike on Cat, it's going to be an and one or a foul or a bucket or whatever. All in all, guys, this should just show you that repeating as the NBA champion is nearly impossible in today's world, and that's not to discredit or slight anything Minnesota Timberwolves related. As you guys are about to hear, I'm going to give them a lot of flowers. The last thing I want to say about Denver is I appreciate how they handle themselves when it comes to the seasons where they lose, even 5-6 years ago when they were losing, to when the seasons when they win like last year, and then another season where they lose like this year. They really do just show how professional they are, and now that they're champions, it's getting even better. However, I don't love how Mike Malone answered the question in regards to what does this series mean, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure you guys have seen the clip. If we're looking at it from the glass half full, you enjoy the passion he has. Maybe he realizes he had a moment of weakness, a moment where he made a big mistake, that he should have sat Nikola Jokic. He should have done some things differently down the stretch with those rotations. He should have called timeout to stop the bleeding. That's the glass half full. The glass half empty is that, hey, this guy's a sore loser. He won his first NBA championship. He doesn't know how to act when he loses. I'm not going to tell you what side of that you need to be on, but that's just kind of what I feel. Now, as for the Minnesota Timberwolves, I really was a huge fan of Anthony Edwards going into the series. I was a big fan of Mike Conley. I have been for years. I've made a couple of videos just talking about Mike Conley on this channel, which made this a hard series for me to watch because I am also a huge fan of Nikola Jokic. But the thing is I'm an even bigger fan of NBA history. So on one half, I was kind of hoping I would see a repeat and just see Jokic etch himself into the elitist of classes that is NBA bigs, that is NBA greats, that is an NBA dynasty. Because I also love a lot of the guys on Denver, like I mentioned earlier. I do like MPJ, I do like Christian Brown, yada, yada, yada. So watching Minnesota, it's bittersweet. But the other glass half full is when we're talking about loving history, we could be seeing the start of what could be literally an anomaly of a career. Anthony Edwards is 22 years old. If he goes on to win a finals MVP at this age, I mean, he's up there with Magic Johnson and Kawhi Leonard as some of the youngest finals MVP of all time. So from an NBA history standpoint, that's ridiculous. I'm happy that we get to see that. But before we get on to what I liked about on the court, I gotta just note this very quickly. I know some of them are young, but it was very unprofessional how they handled themselves. I do understand the NBA needs a villain to thrive. I understand that they're playing the defending champions and they're making a statement with that little Jaden McDaniels stuff and Anthony waving to the crowd. But with Anthony and Tyrese Halliburton, it's been something I haven't really enjoyed in the playoffs. They don't have the best games, or maybe they're playing on an injured, beat-up team, and they just run their mouth nonstop. I mean, when Anthony Edwards was losing, he was giving a lot of respect to the Denver Nuggets, and I really enjoyed that because Jokic was doing the same thing back. But then when Ant starts winning, it's all jawing this and jawing that, and I held Jamal Murray in handcuffs, and I just don't know. I don't love it. I get he's a young kid, and if it was Michael or Kobe, we'd probably praise him for saying that. But you guys got to remember, when Mike and Kobe especially, were younger, people hated them, and I mean they hated Kobe Bryant all the way up until he died, and people did not like them so much. So it's just a bit of a weird spot for Anthony and Jaden McDaniels to act the way they did at the end of the game, especially towards, like I said, a humble winner like Nikola Jokic. Drama aside, I gotta give a ton of credit to Mike Conley, Jaden McDaniels, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Rudy Gobert in this game. They were as close to irreplaceable as it comes. Another 20-point domination from Jaden McDaniels. Rudy Gobert is hitting insane turnaround dagger mid-range jump shots in Nikola Jokic's face, which is pretty poetic because that's what Jokic did to LA all of last year. Anthony Edwards was somewhat decent in this one. His second half was really the star of it. He just didn't have the counting stats you'd like to see in your superstar, and that just shows the difference between the depth of the Wolves and the depth of the Nuggets. Like, if Jokic struggles, it's a 30-point blowout. If Ant struggles, it's almost a 10-point win. I love how well Cat has taken every assignment in this series. He kind of gets clowned in the media, but throughout the series, he's done a great job of doing something different every night, no matter what he's asked to do. I think he'll be even better towards a smaller Mavs team like we'll see in this next series. Do you want him to defend your best player, Nikola Jokic? Okay, I'll do it. How about you give me an efficient 15 to 20 points? Consider it done. He's been very solid this series. I'm not sure it's going to get talked about as much as Anthony Edwards kind of steals the show as far as the media goes, but Cat deserves his flowers. His big man tandem, Rudy Gobert, another guy who can't be applauded enough, hits tough baskets over and over tonight in this one. Big time free throw after big time free throw. Some of you guys may wonder why I haven't talked about Anthony this much in this video as far as the gameplay goes. And it's just, again, I don't like that he's running his mouth on a night where he goes 2 for 10 from downtown and 6 for 25 from the field. If anyone was in handcuffs, it was him. But he may be an NBA champion in a couple weeks, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Shout out to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Shout out to the young star Anthony Edwards, guys. This was a phenomenal Game 7. At the end of the day, I think as NBA fans, whether you're a Nuggets fan or a Wolves fan, you just wanted a game you could sit back, maybe crack open a beer, order some pizza, hang out with your friends and family, or alone, whatever you want, man, just and enjoy it. And that's exactly what we got. Who do you guys got, the Mavs or the Wolves? Let me know in the comments below if you made it this far. I appreciate you guys' support as always. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. Stay happy, healthy, and blessed. Peace.